All right. So, really, really, really good news. First of all, can everyone hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3. I think you guys can hear me, right? Is there an echo? Someone let me know if there's an echo. Echo? Is there an echo? Do we have an echo? Yeah, as Phantom Greyfire said, like the stream. Like the stream. Adam Albash says, thoughts on Zayn winning Genesis. I wanted Zayn to win Genesis. Yeah, I definitely really wanted Zayn to win Genesis, especially once Mango went out early. Normally I support Mango, but I think I generally don't like it when I like seeing Mango win after Mango practices a bunch and actually tries. I don't like seeing Mango take like an 8-month break and then come back and just beat everybody, because then that's the type of stuff that'll lead to him just retiring, because he's just like, fuck it. But we're here to talk One Piece today. I saw some people saying that they were going to use this stream to fall asleep. Evan Johnson says, will the VOD be on the channel? VODs always go onto the second channel, which is Morge Streams. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Morge Stream. Chillax Sarita says Mango looked so sad while he was playing. Honestly, I've been a Mango fan for so long, I don't care now, because I've seen the cycle millions of times, which is just like, he wins, like he's on top of the world, right? He wins or something, then he goes into this mode where he just feels like entitled to win and entitled to do well, so he does like half the practice of everybody else, and he takes 8 months off while everybody else practices. Then he loses, then he has to go back into the grind mode, and then eventually he'll win again. So I knew this wasn't a winning cycle. Luis Vasquez says, yo Morge, I'm seeing King Gizzard tonight. King Gizzard, I don't know what that is. No, don't fall asleep. Nobody's falling asleep. No one's falling asleep, all right? This is not the stream to fall asleep. If you want to fall asleep, go take some melatonin. Go take a couple, you could take some shots of tequila or something. That actually helps people fall asleep. Yeah, how is the new laptop, says Minhu Wong. That's what I wanted to start with saying, and then I got distracted, as I normally do. I'm using a new laptop right now, which means that this stream is actually probably going to be the best stream ever. Actually, probably going to be the least laggy. I mean, there's no lag so far. That's a really good sign. Least laggy, least tech issue filled, least, I don't know why I'm saying least. It's going to be the best. The best quality stream in terms of, I guess, basic streaming production value. So, yeah, we can all look forward to that. And, wait, I didn't set it up properly. Hold on. I'm supposed to be showing the old tier list here, right? All right, hold on. I know Morge knows what to do. He doesn't need any help. Nobody help me, all right? Unless I ask for it. Nobody help, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the old OBS. Keenan, what's up? Shout out to the best captain, Red-Haired Shanks, captain of the Deadbeat Pirates. We can talk a little bit about the Film Red teaser. Film Red teaser, I think, was arguably the worst teaser they could have possibly have dropped. The film would have had, there would have been a more amount of hype, I guess, running right now for the film if they had never dropped that teaser. So actually dropping that teaser probably took away from people's expectations more than anything else, right? So I think a lot of people had this idea, myself included, that this is going to be a very Shanks-centric movie, and we're going to get some more, Shanks action, I guess, basically. And then people quickly realized that this is about some unknown daughter of Shanks's that we've never heard of before, and it seems like she's going to be a big deal. So that's not exactly what people were looking forward to, if you know what I'm saying. It wasn't exactly the main draw of a movie called Film Red. Etam says, hey man, I only watched the live action adaptation. Please stop spoiling everything in your thumbnails. Think of the community. I'm sorry for live action only followers. You early birds who are already on that train without ever having seen One Piece anime or read the manga. You guys are just live action fans already. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling anything here. You might actually see a few characters that may not have shown up in the live action yet, because as I understand, the live action is a little bit behind the rest of us, and we should always be very conscious of anybody who's watching any adaptation of One Piece that might not be the fucking original manga. So, once One Piece the musical comes out, then even the live action people better be wary of spoiling anybody. Heaven forbid anyone spoil One Piece the musical fans. William Marshall says, what are your favorite moments from each of the big three? Naruto, Bleach, One Piece. That's a great question. I actually really like that question. Favorite moments from the three are Naruto. Okay, for me, Naruto, it's, I guess, split between two. I would say Naruto... Yeah, probably number one would be Rock Lee dropping the weights and then going off on Gaara for a little bit. It's hard to... I don't know why that... I think it might be one of those things that might be harder to explain to newer people, or unless you are, like, in the flow of watching... like, you've watched that whole arc with the context and everything like that, but that was a really amazing moment. At this point, it's like, oh, you took off the weights. That's, like, kind of a well-known thing in shonen or whatever. And I even that back then, obviously, like going all the way back to Goku and stuff, he was taking off training weights. But just the way it was done and the moment it was done and the character that was doing it, Rock Lee, and who he was doing it against and like the effect after, I don't know. I thought that was really cool. Most emotional moment from Naruto is probably the moment, like the Naruto defeating Gaara. I think that was really special. And, juxtaposed with the third Hokage talking about, blah, 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 like the upcoming kids of, I don't know. He was saying some shit about the village that was very nice as he was dying. For Bleach, my favorite moment is maybe Ichigo coming in to save Rukia from the execution. I really love that. And then followed immediately by Ichigo taking out the three vice captains. I really, really love that. Like, that whole sequence, it just made Ichigo look amazing. It was just very, very cathartic to see so much struggle, and then Ichigo just comes in after having trained and just, like, wiping the floor with people and just, like, making a big scene. Favorite moment from One Piece is probably, it's so hard to say. They're all Enies Lobby moments. I would say it's a split between Luffy declaring war on the world. That's maybe my favorite. But also Luffy's Jet Gatling in the anime. People who think I hate the anime, I don't. I hate what the anime has become because I know how good the anime can be. And I watched so much of the series as an anime, right? Luffy's Jet Gatling is probably my favorite thing to watch, period. There's so much emotion, so many flashbacks, so much struggle that they've gone through. It's so cathartic seeing Luffy just unleash the Jet Gatling against Lucci. And then, like, the big smile and Robin were going home, all of that, Robin's reaction, everything about that is so, so perfect. You can even include the Usopp speech beforehand. I would throw that in as well. Ain't like it's hell here. I just think everything about that sequence is amazing. And I don't see anything in One Piece since then that's come close to replacing it. Although, for different reasons, Marineford, obviously great for a lot of reasons. William Marshall, no, we just covered you. We already got you. All out of the way. From Formex says, Captain Kobe S tier or else the raid will succeed. We can't have that happening now, can we? All right, Captain Kobe will definitely be S tier. Taylor Russell, thanks. Hey, Morge, if a straw hat rolled up to... That's a funny donation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 34. If a straw hat rolled up to your house in a convertible and said, get in, bro, which straw hat would it have to be for you to actually go, okay, and get in? Let's assume that I can get over the craziness of a fictional character showing up in the real world and surprising me. Let's say I can get over that, all right? In that case, which character would it have to be for me to actually go, okay? What do you mean? That's like a weird question. Like, who would it have to be for me to not say okay? These are the Straw Hats, right? The only characters that I'd be like, I would be suspicious of Brook. Just because if you see a corpse in real life, even if I'm like, oh, you're a Straw Hat member, I'm still probably not getting in a car with you. I just think that's very unlikely. Enies Lobby in the anime greater than the manga? I would say yeah. I would agree because, the thing with the anime versus the manga, anime generally does the peak moments better. Generally, on average. I think there's a lot of times that you could actually say the manga does it better. But I think the anime, for the most part, at least pre-time skip, did the peak moments better, right? And Enies Lobby had so many peak moments and the emotional highs that I think like it's an arc that's littered with those, that I would say overall the anime is probably better. But the Enies Lobby art, like Oda probably put in the most work into scene direction and paneling and general atmosphere, visual atmosphere cues out of any arc in Water 7 Water 7 even more than Enies Lobby. So I would argue that Water 7 was probably Oda's peak in terms of not pure straight artwork, but it was probably his peak in terms of like actually using manga as a medium and trying to working on everything, right? So not just like how good the panels look, like how good the art within them was, but how he's directing a scene, how he's setting up the atmosphere of a scene, just having shots, like more establishing shots, right? Basic things like that nowadays he would have much, much less time for and wouldn't put in the effort for. Like the amount of times Oda just put an effort into drawing wind blowing through the panels and wind slowly picking up over the course of the arc. I think Water 7, Enies Lobby really... I would argue Water 7 may be better in the manga, Enies Lobby may be better in the anime. I don't know. It's hard to say. The anime back then also did not have the pacing issues it did today. It was still bad pacing-wise, but like today it's basically unwatchable pacing-wise. Keenan says, can't hang around because I'm watching the Sixers game. I wish. Not that I'm not happy to be here streaming this, but if somebody wants to report what's happening to me in the chat every now and then, I wouldn't mind that at all. Can't hang around because I'm watching the Sixers game, but Zoro's underrated as a potential captain of a crew, and Sanji's as underrated as a potential first mate. I 100% agree. I mean, Zoro's commented on multiple times throughout the series is like, man, it'd be good if he was an actual captain. And Sanji is a perfect, like, Sanji tends to kick the ass of, like, whatever opponent he's, you know, like, Sanji, I think out of the entire crew, like, he gets the easiest deal very often in fights because he can punch above. You know what I mean? Like, he's always... Luffy gets the strongest, Zoro gets the second strongest, Sanji's left with the third strongest, but when we get down to it, it looks like Sanji could have punched above his weight class pretty often, right? Like, with Queen, once Sanji really, really, you know, got his upgrade and everything like that and got serious, he demolished Queen pretty easily. Not that Zoro didn't do the same against King, but I'm just saying it's pretty frequent with Sanji that it looks like, okay, he could have done better than the opponent that he faced. We getting IHOP ads right now? I don't know what you're talking about. Hidden Sun Gods is damn unwatchable. I'm sorry, it's not unwatchable. I'm not saying the anime is unwatchable because I'm not trying to... I'm not trying to turn this... I think I get enough of a bad reputation about talking bad about the anime. Although the anime is bad, so I guess that's fair to give me that reputation. I want to live is peak, says Rafi. Yeah. No, anime Nico Robin's backstory, the anime Nico Robin's backstory is still the saddest thing I think I've ever watched in terms of how much it affected me. You know what I mean? In terms of how much it affected me. For my time, for my age, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But no, still to this day, what will make me the most emotional is probably rewatching Nico Robin's backstory. I think that'll get me more emotional than probably anything. Movies, TV shows, other manga, anime, etc. included. So, Milo says, didn't you call the anime fanfic, LMAO? I called the movies fanfiction, which they are. I mean, look, you guys are gonna... If you guys go watch Film Red and come back talking about... Okay, can we stop and just say that the whole Film Red thing is actually just, it's really, really funny. It's just like, we were all so excited for this movie, right? Like, even I was excited, maybe because I just saw Film Z and I actually somewhat enjoyed Film Z. And then we find out that this movie is coming out about Shanks, which is really exciting because we see so little of him in the entire manga and we want to see so much of him. He's probably top 3 characters we see the least of but want to see more of, along with Dragon and Mihawk, right? So Shanks' movie is extremely, extremely interesting on the surface. We were all excited for one reason, which is seeing Shanks. I think it's the first time a lot of people would not have minded getting a movie exclusively on a character that is not from the Straw Hats, right? Then slowly we're finding out, okay, it's going to be about the Straw Hats. The Straw Hats are going to be in there. And then finally we get the teaser, and it's about Uta. Who the fuck? It's Uta. It's about this made-up character named Uta. We've never seen this scenario ever before, right? Like, sad teenage girl who has some sort of She's a upset backstory about something, parent issues for one reason or another, right? Wouldn't be surprised if her mom is dead. And the one thing that makes it interesting is that, well, she's Shanks' daughter. So it's just like, fuck, you fucking used Shanks basically as... This is what clickbait is, by the way. You guys want to talk about YouTubers using clickbait on their thumbnails? This is clickbait. What the Toei Animation did with this, with Film Red, is clickbait. All right? They're like, it's Film Red. It's a movie about Shanks. Bam, Shanks on the poster. Film Red. It's about him, the character you guys really, really want to see. I'm a content creator. I know that Shanks gets a lot of clicks. He gets a lot of views. All right? They put that up there for everyone to see. Then you find out what the content actually is. It's fucking Uta. Luffy, the only thing he says in the trailer is he screams Uta, and that's basically, we can kind of imagine the entire plot playing out from there, as though we haven't seen it a million times before. And guess what? Shanks is probably going to be in it for like 3 minutes. And no meaningful interactions with the Strats, of course, because that would ruin the actual meeting with him and Luffy in the manga, which means, yeah, whatever Shanks is going to show up as, basically a cameo only. Probably a slightly bigger cameo than, Roger in Stampede. But you guys know what they did to us. They clickbaited us. That's what happened. William Marshall says, do you think Blackbeard is Conqueror's Haki? He rivals Luffy, but part of his character is to contrast pirates like Whitebeard and Luffy with his devil fruits. I do not think Blackbeard has Conqueror's Haki. I actually don't think he has Conqueror's Haki. Not because you need Conqueror's Haki to be a brave character. We've seen this before. Like, Law is not a character who has Conqueror's Haki, but he's a very, very brave character, right? But it's the type of, like, a Conqueror is someone that their sense of spirit, it's sort of like being a conqueror is portrayed in a very pure way in the One Piece world. Like, good guy, bad guy. If you have a conqueror spirit, you walk a certain path in a certain way that is very headstrong, straightforward, never back down. You basically carve your way through the world in a very sort of, like, I mean, it's weird to say, but like kingly manner, right? And hell or high water, whatever come what may, you take it on head on, right? Blackbeard he's very clearly not that type of character. He's just not that, he's written closer to like a Law, but bad. Like a bad guy type Law, right? He's a schemer, he's crafty, he's very brave, right? And he'll take a lot of risks, all of that stuff. He's not a coward. Being a conqueror or not a conqueror has nothing to do with that. It's just how you approach the world and the type of spirit you have, because being a conqueror in the One Piece world is written, again, in a very pure manner, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Exactly. It's just clickbait. Old Green Knee says, shout out to you, Mork. You make my day better. Who do you think is on Whole Cake right? Who do you think it is on Whole Cake right now? I got Blackbeard Pirates, nothing crazy. I think a lot of us had the Blackbeard Pirates ever since... the chapter 956. Also, the anime is trash. Can't get my wife to watch. Yeah, I feel bad for anybody who's trying to get people they know into One Piece through the anime. The best thing I can recommend is One Piece. One Piece is a good shot at, it's just like One Piece Kai, cuts out the fluff, cuts out as much of the bad pacing as it can, and then, that's, people are arguing my point about Logi Dogi thinks Blackbeard has the disposition to stand above others. And right underneath, Mane says Akainu has Conqueror's Haki. I think it's more likely Akainu has Conqueror's Haki than Blackbeard. I wouldn't be surprised if Blackbeard has Conqueror's Haki. It's just like, if you're telling me to pick, I would pick no. I just don't think so. And I think that might be why... what do you call? Yeah, I just think that might be why Oda is focusing more on, how do you say? The devil fruits. I don't know why it took me so long to search for that. The devil fruits part of it, Blackbeard accumulating very powerful devil fruits. Conrad says, Morge, I love you, but you got to work on the right speech take, right? I know I say right, like, as a question quite a bit at the end of, sentences and streams or whatever after I share some of my thoughts. It's literally because, and same thing goes for videos if I'm recording chapter reviews without a script, obviously, then normal videos I do with a script. Chapter reviews I don't do with a script, right? So, and I just said it right there. The reason I say right at the end of these things is because I have no one to actually personally talk to. So I'm not seeing facial expressions. I'm talking into the void. So I guess just for me, and I'll try to cut it down, but basically a little added thing that I throw onto the end of sentences is basically just right, because it's just, I'm talking to nobody right now. So I guess mentally I'm just having to add in my own closed loop point at the end of this thing to make it feel like I'm having a conversation, if that makes sense. Le Guerrier Ivanku says, I believe that Blackbeard is not a D-clan. I think he is, though. I think he is, and I think that just the nature of the D-clan and who all, like, the types of, because we know the D-clan was very diverse, right? You have giants, you have whatever. So I don't think everybody in the D-clan was necessarily good, which means that there's complications as to who could, who could actually, how do I say? Yeah, the varieties of clans that we could get within the D-clan itself, right? Jared says Sengoku has it and he is laid back. Yeah, and so does Rayleigh and he's laid back. I'm not saying laid back versus not laid back. It's more so just the type of persona that they have and how they approach certain things. Wisdom Minari says, Morge, this is maidenless behavior. You got to give it to Blackbeard. LMAO, JK, here's some money. Thanks, Wisdom. That's actually really huge. Blackbeard might have it. You know what? I'll just say for the rest of the stream that, yeah, Blackbeard has Conqueror's Haki. Just for Wisdom. Supreme Pirate King says, took debate, tricked Morge into being hyped for Film Red. Yeah, I was definitely tricked. Part of it is your guys' fault because you got me interested through Film Z, and I was thinking, okay, maybe the One Piece movies, I can't pretend to dislike them anymore because I liked Film Z. Can't even fake it anymore. So I was like, you know what? Maybe they got me. Maybe the One Piece movies are worth, I shouldn't slander them or anything. But then we saw the Film Z teaser and I was like, nope, I'm justified. I'm 100% justified in my feelings towards the One Piece films. All right, let's take a look. Let's get this, oh my God, this is what, I didn't make this tier list, by the way. This is something that's already pre-made that exists on the One Piece tier list maker, or the tier maker website. You know what it is, you can read. Right? Well, some of you can't. Some of you guys are anime only. So, let's see. I don't even know if they've got a full roster here. Some things are questionable. Like, we got the Timalo Black right here. Marcus Taylor says Hawkins best captain. Hawkins is, okay, let's get this tier list rolling, and I think easy. Why are there so many tiers? Who the fuck tiers all the way down to F? S-A-A. I did not make this tier list. Again, it was pre-made, but just look at, this is the worst pre-made setup I've ever seen. Look at this. First of all, you've got, I can't even count this high. How many things are we looking at here? 12? 13? You've got 14 to 15 different tiers for no reason, right? So you start with S, obviously. Then you got A plus and then A. Nothing else has pluses or minus. For some reason, there's just A plus and then A. There's no B plus, there's no C plus, there's no D minus, no C minus, no B minus. What the hell is this? Why isn't there an S and then an S plus? What is this? And why does it go all the way down to F? That means that if you split this whole thing up evenly, there'd be like 2 things per tier. This is the worst tier list preset I've ever seen. I'm sorry if one of you guys made it. I wouldn't be surprised though if one of you guys was the cause of this. We don't need this many. S, A, B, C, D, that seems reasonable. And then we'll work it out beyond that. I mean, the polls that I can make in chat, they only even go up to 4 options. So only going up to 4 options, that we definitely can't have that many tiers. All right. Oh, wait a second. You guys can't even see? How come nobody told me? All right, let me fix this. Let me fix this. And it'll be easy because I have a new laptop, so everything is smooth, it's streamlined. I move myself over here, and I can just do that, and then this goes like this. And actually, it's all wrong. Hold on, let's move this down. And this we want higher, right? All right, and look at that. Whoa, wait, this is actually, is this a really bad setup or something? No, this is fine. You guys like it. Who likes it? Tell me who likes the setup. Who likes it? You guys like it? You guys like it? You guys okay? All right. You guys like it? Gonzi ATCH says nobody told him. Look. There are things you guys could do to get my attention. All right? You guys could have done something. You could have doxed me. All right? There's things that you guys could have done. No one doxed me, though. So I was left talking into the void. I think everything I said in the last 2 minutes went completely over your guys' heads, because there's literally no way you could have seen shit on how small I had the screen displayed. All right, let's go. Just know, okay, long and short of it is this. The tier list was bad, all right? It was very bad. I fixed it along with the stream. There's no need to thank me. We can all move on, all right? You got 2 chats? Well, one of them's for me. I need to be able to see a chat. I deserve a chat. How is this fair? You guys get to see a chat, but I don't get to see a chat? That doesn't seem really fair. I feel like we should both get to see chat. That just seems reasonable. Especially because of what just happened, where I was displaying some stuff to you guys that nobody told me you guys couldn't see. That's what a chat can come in and fix. All right, let's start. All right, Uta S tier captain. All right, let's start. Let's get it started. Okay, so right off the bat, we got Demalo Black. So this is actually a very tricky. This is a very, very tricky thing. All right, very, very tricky. Simply because it's like, what do you consider a good captain? Let's set the rules, right? Let's set the rules. Two chats on screen disturbing. What does it look like? How confusing could it possibly look? I think it makes sense from my perspective. Okay, so there's a chat here, and then normally there would be a chat here. I see why it could be confusing. Okay. We're gonna fix this. All right, we're gonna fix this. Is it even fixable? Maybe just my chat, right? How do you guys feel about just using my chat? Let's just use my chat. We don't need to see you guys, all right? Let's just use my chat. I think that's the answer. And then if you guys complain enough, then we'll change it back. How about that? That's always the easiest. Old Green Knees asked the best possible question at the start of a tier list. I was just going to get into it, though, so I didn't actually need your help, for the record. I didn't need it, okay? Let's make that very clear, because I'm a professional, and I know how to run these streams. Oh, shit. Hold on. Okay, Old Green Knees, thank you. What criteria are you using for captains? Character, crew, influence, planning, accomplishment. Also like the stream. Old Green Knees is actually doing my entire job right now. I forgot. Everyone, like the stream. Let's all like the stream. Even I'll like the stream. I'll do it at some point. Everyone like the stream. So beyond that, the criteria, which I've thought about heavily beforehand. Heavily beforehand. I think the criteria should be... Okay, hold up. Joey Jojo says, hey, Morge, unpopular opinion. Thanks, Pirate here, by the way. Super chat from Joey Jojo. Hey, Morge, unpopular opinion. Robin's backstory isn't that sad. There's no emotional attachment to Olivia, Clover, and the citizens treat Robin very badly. For me, the sad part is more so from Robin's end. So I didn't have a strong attachment to Olivia or Clover, but it's more so the situation Robin was in, right? So how sad she was... And how her entire life, all she wanted was, she literally just wanted to meet her mother and hold her hand. And so seeing that wish granted and then ripped away in the same span of her losing the one other person who was kind of a mentor figure, father figure, parent figure, which was Clover, and losing Saul, to me it was just like bad on bad. And I'm not going to get too much into it just because I did a whole video on it. It takes up a good section of the Annie's Lobby analysis because that moment is very important to me. Or that backstory is very important to me. From Joey Jojo, genocide, haha, they deserved it if you ask me. All right, so Joey Jojo is a bit of a nut, and we're just going to move on from there. Box of Cans says Monkey D. Luffy is a stupid name. You're right, that's going to be the criteria we base it on. Kind of the names that they have, and I think that's basically fair. Here's the real criteria, which I have thought a lot about. All right? It's going to be how good of a captain are they? Okay, so how good of a leader are they? That's the main criteria. Okay, so it's got nothing to do with strength, not really accomplishments, because that's not really fair, and then you kind of just put Roger at number 1 and call it a day. You kind of put some of these other guys at like 0 and whatever. It's accomplishments in a sense, okay? So for example, Buggy, I'm not saying Buggy's a good captain overall, but is this captain kind of taking their crew place? Like, is the captain screwing over their crew regularly? Or are they making good leadership decisions that kind of get the crew further ahead? So, for example, you could say that's a point in favor of Buggy in that, actually, considering how shitty his squad is, he's gotten them into some, pretty high, rungs up the ladder, if you know what I mean. Them getting on Buggy's ship was actually a pretty good decision. If you're like fucking Kabaji or or Alvida or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's a bit of it, right? But more importantly is how good of a leader are they, right? Overall. So do they care about their crew? Do they take care of their crew? Buggy, for example, you got to dock a lot of points because while the Marines were attacking his hideout in chapter 956, he was ready to abandon his crew. Not good captain behavior. So there's some things to think about right here, right? So just generally, you know what? It's more fun to think of the criteria as we go. So let's figure it out as we go. Damalo Black and his group, way too difficult to figure out. Literally too, I genuinely forget. Did their crew care about each other? Did Damalo Black care about his crew? We know that he did not care about his new recruits, but what about his actual crew? How was he with them? Could somebody fill me in? I don't actually remember. Was he nice to them? At the very, very least, he did get them some good opportunities, right? He got them basically almost completely squatted up to head to the New World. No. Just based on leadership, Damalo Black is a B tier. This is the opinion of Agav. He managed to get huge amounts of people to follow him over a single day, plus other fake straw hats actually respected him. You know what? We need to start somewhere, so let's start with there. All right? Let's say Damalo Black, B tier. Not bad. Brownbeard, he got his entire crew fucked up right away, right? But he did seem to care about them, I think. I'm going to put him in C tier. No, but so did Damalo Black. I think this is going to be a tricky tier list, guys, because I think all these captains fucked up in some ways, but we're kind of good in other ways. Alvida, a D. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling a bit so we get a bit of a framework. Okay, Brownbeard, worse or better than Damalo Black? Joel raises the point, but is that his actual crew or just paid actors? That is a good point. Okay, let's say this. Brownbeard or Damalo Black? Who's better? Both are C? Let's do that. Let's keep it simple. They're both C. Gecko Moria is a very, 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 very difficult case. No, it's actually not a difficult case. Gecko Moria is a good captain. The moment Gecko Moria showed up to Blackbeard's Island, right, Beehive Island, the moment he showed up there in chapter 925, you knew he was a good captain. Old Green Knee says you got to consider the crew quality. A good captain has a good crew. Like, the hard parts are oof, and that's really on Law. Law is a shitty captain. I'm going to put Law. And people might say I have, like, anti-Law bias and stuff like that. But Law, literally, he does not. He's just a shitty captain. He treats his crew like they're basically these I'm sure he cares about his crew. And I'm sure those fan fiction Law novels will support that. But he just treats them like they're basically these little pawns that he can pick up and drop, or shove to the side, or ignore for however long he wants, and then he pulls them back in, and he's like, okay, now we're doing some stuff, and like, he doesn't, he's not really a good captain, because he hasn't really assembled exactly a crack squad, over the years that he's been a pirate. Moria is a good captain. Moria is definitely a good captain, and as far as we understood, he really, really, really cared about his original crew too. That was the problem. He cared so much about his original crew that it really broke him when his crew was killed in the New World, implied to have been killed by Kaido, right? So Moria is a good captain. He cares about his crew. His crew cares about him. Perona wants to go back to Moria, right? So she heard Moria is back. She heard Moria, whatever. She wants to go back to Moria. We saw that, right? He came back for Absalom. Like, these things matter. Moria is a good captain. All right, Anuj Agarwal says, can you full screen your browser window? Okay. Enlarge the chat and put it in a place where your face cam isn't covering it. Setup still unwatchable right now, in my opinion. So the tricky thing here is, if I do this, if I full screen this, right? If I full screen this, then I can't check chat at all, pretty much, because I need to be clicking over here. As soon as I click over here, chat goes away. What if I move this here? Okay, what if I move chat here? Does that help? Does this help at all? That seems worse. What if I... Okay, how about this? I think this is fine. Is this fine for the moment? It's okay if you guys can't see all the characters on this side of things just yet, but things on the screen seem a little bigger. Is this okay? And I think one more thing I can do is I can make this whole screen bigger. I can make this bigger. I can make this bigger. Is this helping at all? Is this helping? How about this? Live update? No. Wait, did it say an update is happening in 10 minutes? We'll find out. We'll find out. I think it's good. It's okay. It's fine. Milo says yes. All right. Kevin Comp says, bro, you only have one monitor. Yes, I only have one monitor. Actually, I could, because I got another. We're not going to deal with that right now, all right? We will deal with that at some other point. I will get a monitor, I guess, if I'm supposed to, as a streamer. All right. I'm a little worried about that update thing. Who got to read that update thing before I clicked out of it? Did it say it's happening in 10 minutes? Are we screwed in 10 minutes? Sean Easton says Moria was a manager. Perona wanted those benefits. I think Moria is a good captain. I think he's a... Fuck! I forgot. This was the reason... We can't have anything, can we? All right, hold on. This is it. All right, this is the setup. This is what the setup's going to be. It's going to be this. All right, that's it. All right, I think this is basically right. All right, good enough. AI says, let's be honest, Law is more of a cult than a crew. Yeah, that's actually very, very accurate. Law, I mean, he's better than these two, right? He's better than these guys, so I think we can put him in B. All right, there we go. Moria, I think, is an A-tier captain, in my opinion. I think he's an A-tier captain. Kuro! Shitty. Although he did inspire respect from his... Okay, let me start throwing it to the crowd. We're going through the boring ones right now. Kuro. I really don't know where to put Kuro at all. I feel like S is not going to be that popular. I can only do 4 options. I'm just going to do A, B, C, and D. I think Arlong is the first interesting one. Or maybe Moria was the first interesting one. Maddie Marlin says, please buy a second monitor and put this 5 towards it. Thanks, Maddie. I appreciate it. I can get a monitor. Oh, Miss Super Chat from SuperCookie11. Are you going to watch Roof Piece this Saturday? I'm not going to watch the full episode or anything, but I'm sure I'll see clips of it when it comes out. And thanks, Phantom Greyfire. Okay, so Kuro's a solid D. Really? Yeah. No, I mean, it just makes sense. He literally tried to kill his entire crew. Actually, Kuro... It's actually almost disrespectful to Alvida to put her in D. No, they both belong. Okay, Arlong, in my opinion, not a bad captain. Actually, really not a bad captain. I think he, as far as we know, he genuinely cared about his crew. He got them to take over all of East Blue. So, fun fact, Arlong actually, he didn't take over all of East Blue. But it was... There are some quotes there that imply that kind of he was essentially like the big fish, as they say in East Blue, and kind of basically everybody knew that he's the biggest guy, the biggest, toughest guy in East Blue. Okay, Arlong, a little tricky. I think, yeah, A gets it. Brooke, I don't even know how to place. I'm just going to put Brooke in B. How do we even place Brooke? I think there's no way to place Brooke. Like, what do we even... Let me try. Let's see. I feel like I don't want to give this a poll, though, because I feel like people are just going to vote Brooke high because they just want to vote Brooke high. You know? Like, because it's Brooke. But I don't think he showed that much as a captain. The entire crew died on his watch, by the way, which, in my opinion, that's a big knock on your ability to lead the crew. So I kind of got Brook not... Okay, B. Hope I didn't bias you guys by just putting my vote in there for B right away. I think B is fine. I think B is fine. He's not a captain, but he basically ran the crew after Yorkie was gone, right? Isn't that the case? Is that not the case, or am I crazy? Am I crazy? He wasn't... I thought he ran... I guess it's tricky. The partier says, from Hans Ding, add to Yamato staying. Kaido repeatedly said she'll never be expected by Yamato, by Samurai, Human / Wano. It'd be cool for her to stay and unite everyone. I agree. Actually, there's an interesting video coming out tomorrow that actually references that specific quote, so look out for it. Phantom Greyfire says, from Sean Easton, difference between leadership and management. Having a vision... Okay, this sounds important. Difference between leadership and management. Having a vision for your crew and inspiring versus keeping things working with a team. That's true. Luffy is actually... It's hard to explain, but Luffy is he's not a good leader in the traditional human world sense, in that he doesn't really delegate things that well or like organize things too well at all. He's a really good leader purely from the inspirational standpoint of like getting everybody on board, united in the same front, working towards what he's working towards. And then obviously in the idea that he as the leader has everybody's backs, which is what's really, really been played out as his strongest leadership point over the course of Enies Lobby. So, I mean, that is a good point. I don't think that's leadership versus... I feel like a lot of it blends together to a degree. Where were we at? Old Greenie says, anyone who got their whole crew clapped is a bad captain. It's your only job. Okay, so in the One Piece verse, yes, that's true. It's the captain's job to not let their entire crew get fucked up. In which case, every villain, though, just drops spots, because then it's just like... all of these guys, like... I mean, Moria got fucked up multiple times, right? By Kaido, then by Luffy, then by Jinbei, then by the entire Pacifista squad. His entire crew died, and then his next crew basically fell apart. Do we feel that Moria... Okay, with that in mind, I just don't want that to be the hardest criteria, because it's just like... Fuck. Like, it's hard. Like, it's hard out there, right? It's the grand line. It's the grand line. Sometimes you just get fucked up. Or in Arlong's case, it's East Blue, and sometimes you just get fucked up. But it's by the future Pirate King. You know, it's by the future Pirate King. How is he supposed to control for that? Where's Moria actually supposed to go? All I know is that these guys down here all suck. So, okay, people want to keep Moria in A? Keep Moria in A? Alright. Bruh says Arlong did nothing wrong. Yeah, tell that to Bellemere. Derp140 says, Morge, Kid isn't on this list. I did not make the list. I would happily have put Kid on the list. Kid is actually a character that I, to this day, still have high hopes for. Gilgamesh says, drop that criteria. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to do this with that as the criteria. How about we treat it more like bonus points? Like, if you can really protect your crew well, then that's like, kudos to you, bonus points, good stuff. Zeph abandoned his entire crew I don't think Zeph really cared too much about that crew. It's funny because Zeph even said something, like, he even told Sanji something like, yeah, I really cared about those guys, but it's too bad. It's just like, dog, I don't think you really cared about those guys. I think that, I don't know how much. Zeph, I don't think he was a good captain. I don't think Zeph was a good captain. I don't think he cared that much about his crew. Like, he liked them as, there was guys, you know, he liked, I guess he liked sailing with them well enough. But I don't think he was too torn up to never see them again. And I also think that he did not do a good job imparting his core values on his crew. Because he told his crew, hey, you never steal food from the ships that we pirate from and steal all their money and everything like that. But we don't steal their food, right? And what do you know? They still tried to steal food anyway. So I think Zeph was actually a bad captain. I would actually put him around here. I think that I mean, he's not Kuro and Alvita bad, but he's not as good as these guys. You know what I mean? It's just, right? Zeph C. But I don't think he's even as good as Law or whatever. Or Brownbeard. Or there's got to be a tier below this. And I knocked this tier list for having too many tiers at the beginning. What did I know? He's just not here. He's not here. Oh, you know what? Why is Brook in B, though? And these guys are in C. Did we fuck up this whole tier list? Heavy emphasis on we? Did we fuck up this tier list? Does this make any sense so far? Okay, let's walk back because I think we've ruined everything. I think you have ruined everything for the most part. But let's walk this back. All right, let's walk this back. No, stop just shouting letters. He should be in C. C is fine. Look, we got to analyze this, right? Like let's apply some thought process to any of this, okay? Moria and Arlong, why are they here? They care about their crew, right? They care about their crew quite a bit. Their crew cares about them. They go to great lengths to fight for and defend their crew, right? Is that pretty much it? They inspire their men well. They stick their necks out for them. They were moderately successful with their crews. I think that stuff matters. Brook is B because we don't really know what else to do in B, right? He just goes here. It's just filler. I don't know. These guys are in C, but I feel like they don't deserve to, like, Zeph did not inspire his men well, not care about his... Okay, you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to roll with this. I don't care. I'm going to stop trying to make rhyme or reason of it. It's actually... There's nothing to... There's no hardcore rules we could apply to this that would make everything work. Let's see. No, Kid is not over here. I think we just don't have Kid. We don't have Kid. We'll get over it. All right, Buggy. Buggy is tricky because it's like, what constitutes Buggy's crew? Because Buggy's crew, they do care for him. They tried to get him back, but at the same time, they tried to figure out a new captain as soon as Buggy was gone. This was in his first cover story. Then they did try to get him back later on in the story when he was captured and sent to Impel Down, but then when they found out how dangerous Impel Down was, they decided to abandon him. I think Buggy and his crew, they've got a very wishy-washy relationship where it's like, yeah, we'll stick with each other because we like each other and it's nice if we could keep it that way, but when the going gets really tough, you know he's not up here. You know he's not up here as a captain. But he did get them good. I think Buggy belongs here. Old Green Knee says they got clapped. Bro, you get a bunch of dudes on a boat and they get absolutely dusted. That's 100% on you, bad captain. Yeah, but it's hard out there. It's the Grand Line. It's hard out there. I think some standards have to be applied. Like, who did Moria get fucked up by? Kaido. It's fucking Kaido. Okay? Like, it's Kaido. That's not his fault. He did have it happen again with Luffy. That one was on him because that was extremely, extremely winnable. So that was actually, you know what? I'm going to have to drop Moria down a peg because you know what Moria's motto is? Literally his motto, his introductory text box, his motto is, you do it, right? That's actually his motto. But so he became a very, very lazy captain. And that's probably a good part of the reason of why his crew lost. It's too late. I'm going to keep Moria there. Buggy, it's hard to tell with Buggy. Rai says Arlong, a villain who enslaved one of his crew members, cares more about his crew than one of the main characters who deeply cared about his crew. No, but it's just like, it's, okay. Nami doesn't count. We all know Nami doesn't count as a crew member, okay? She was a dirty human. Arlong cares about the real crew members. The fish people, right? The fishmen. That's what matters, right? Nami was a subspecies. She was a human, all right? Obviously not to be given the same rights or care as the rest of his crew members. Fair mentality makes a lot of sense to me, okay? So fisherman superiority, I'm on board with that, and I think Arlong, keep him here, right? If you're arguing we should move Brook up, I literally don't know what the hell Brook did as captain. He got his entire crew killed. Moria at least got his crew killed by Kaido, which is respectable. Brook got his crew killed by God knows who. God knows who. Pickle Rick says Nami was part of his crew, though. Yeah, but that's not... Yeah, that's... It's not the same. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. Nova IV says Muggle Nami. That's actually hilarious. Yeah, that's right, though. She was a Muggle. She was a, don't make me say the M word, a mudblood. All right? If we're being frankly honest here. All right? And Nami was a mudblood. So I think the way that he treated her was well within his bounds. All right, Don Krieg. If I remember correctly, Don Krieg sucked because he got his entire crew fucked up on the first day in the Grand Line, right? And we already said competency doesn't matter that much. They got fucked up by Mihawk. But his solution was, let's go back to East Blue, and then we'll all go back to the Grand Line again, even though everybody clearly didn't want to. And also, he threw out this poison gas that would have killed everybody, and he did some shit. I think he belongs here. I don't think he's quite this bad, but I think he's about here. No. He's here. He's here. Yeah. He's here. Yeah, Don Krieg is a D-tier decision maker. D for decision maker. Don Krieg is maybe the worst decision maker out there. Foxy, I think, actually might... Foxy is very tricky. Foxy, in every sense, Foxy is tricky. But he is tricky in the sense of, like, how do we even rank him? Because he's not D-tier. I know Foxy's not a D-tier captain. Unless the fact that he gambles with his crewmates' allegiances literally every time he meets another pirate crew would bump him down a peg, maybe. There is a debate for that. Old Green Knees says half the captains you haven't ranked yet have their crew completely enclapped. Like, that's not fair to Buggy, who didn't lose anyone. No, but I didn't realize that's your agenda. Your agenda is to get Buggy to... No, Foxy is not S tier. Hold on. What does this kind of average out to? I guess this averages out to about A tier, right? We're putting Foxy in A? I could see it, but he also he technically gambles his crewmates' lives every time he runs into another pirate crew. But that's not quite fair because he always rigs the game in their favor, so he knows that he'll win in the end, right? And at the same time, technically, once you're a pirate crew, you've already assumed that you're risking your life anytime you're running into another pirate crew. So actually, Foxy keeps things relatively really safe, right? He's a pirate who he's like, okay, anytime I run into another pirate crew, I'm not going to like go to war with them and try and kill each other or whatever. We're going to play a game. It's actually, being on Foxy's crew is amazing. Because normally if you're on a pirate crew and you run into another pirate crew, the consequence is if you guys lose, you die. But Foxy is always like, hey, I'll propose a friendly wager. So worst case scenario, yeah, you have to leave the crew and go join another crew. But that's better than what happened to Moria's crew, right? Foxy's actually pretty great. I could see him being... Actually, do we have an argument against him being S? Is there a good argument against him? Yeah. I think he's up there, right? Keeps everyone very safe. He rigs the game in his favor always, right? I don't know how much... His crew loves him. His crew genuinely loves him. They all wear, Foxy masks and everything like that. They're always chanting his name. His crew genuinely really loves him. I don't know how much he loves his crew. That's the one tricky part. So maybe he's not an S tier character. KYD says, opinions on Zephyr and the Neo Marines. I feel like Zephyr... How do I say this? I liked Film Z. I think I made that very clear. I liked the entire storyline they painted out for Zephyr. I liked the way that he went out. Loved all of that. I think the one thing I would have loved to have gotten more of is more of Zephyr's backstory. I would have liked to have seen... Because I think they kind of built up quite a little bit. The goal was very much to develop a lot of sympathy, empathy, or whatever for Zephyr, right? Make him a more, I guess, likable villain that you could kind of get behind, a sort of tragic figure, right? So they did build up a lot throughout the story leading up to kind of the full reveal of who Zephyr was and his motivations. And I feel like that was the one part that they kind of ended up skimming over for some reason, right? So you did finally get that explanation and everything like that, but they kind of did it by the numbers and very quickly. So I was surprised by that because I thought that there was going to be a pretty in-depth backstory that would kind of be the centerpiece of the movie. But at the same time, I think that, the way that he went out, his values, kind of how he went about his mission, the respect that he finally got for Luffy, etc. These things, I think that overall Zephyr was a good character, and I did generally really like him. I think the one other thing, I didn't like his fighting style, but that's just, it is what it is. Old Greenie says, if you join a captain, you want to know if anyone died. Like, Foxy has better stats than Arlong or Moria. Whose crew are you joining? Yeah, I think there's a strong argument for Foxy above the other two. I don't think he takes bad risks. I think he keeps his crew very safe. It's just, I don't know how much he goes out of his way to fight for or protect his crew, right? And that should matter. But it's also like, I don't think it'd ever come down to it with Foxy because he just wouldn't get them into those sort of situations. Thomas Davis says, love seeing Law where he belongs. Keep it up, Warge. Yeah, Law is not much of a captain. That's for sure. Elvin Rivera says, make Luffy S tier and everyone has to measure up to his metrics. Problem solved. That's actually a good point. And if we were to do this strategically, that's how we would do this tier list. Because, look, Foxy's not the captain Luffy is, right? We know that. So we know they don't belong in the same tier. But Foxy's still definitely better than these other bums. So it's just like, fuck, do we need another? I don't even know how we do this. I'll put Foxy, you know what? I'll put Foxy here for now. Because we just know, there's better captains coming. But Foxy's pretty great. I think Foxy's an argument. I don't even know what to do. The JMLU11 says, thoughts on the two at Whole Cake Island being Ichiji and Reiju? I mean, I would hope that it's the Blackbeard Pirates, obviously, because it's just more interesting. The Partier says, from Haven Cardell, are we achievement morally or goals-wise? Say you sacrifice a few members to achieve the ultimate goal, and total failure was the other option. I mean, Luffy practically does that every other day. No, he doesn't sacrifice members. Okay, I see what you're saying. No. You want to be a good captain, achievement as well as morally, right? So you don't want to sacrifice your crew members just to accomplish something, if possible. So in that sense, Brook should be in like E because he sacrificed his entire crew and got nothing. I mean, that's not true. That's a very unfair way to characterize that. But yeah, I think you want to be a good captain, both achievement-wise and morally. All right, so I think Foxy falls short of S because we never really saw him go, like, put his neck out for his crew members. We don't know if he would do that. But by every other metric, inspiring the crew, keeping them safe, honestly, he's grown such a gigantic crew, so he's very successful in that regard. He's honestly the crew that you would want to be on. Like, out of all of the pirate crews in the world, you would want to be on Foxy's pirate crew. They have a great time. They throw circuses and fairs and carnivals every other day. Their family is constantly expanding because they meet new people and forcibly or through trickery and deceit, get them to join in. And once they join, they seem to like it. Like, joining Foxy's crew is not a sad thing whatsoever. You remember like when the Straw Hats were rolling up to Long Ring Long Land, they saw a ship that had lost everything, right? It had lost their captain, their navigator, I believe, their sail, their flag, everything, right? A pirate crew that had gotten fucked over by the Foxy Pirates, right? So it's like, fuck, Foxy's a bad dude. He takes everything a crew has. But once you actually see those guys over on the Foxy pirate ship, if I remember, they were happy. Like, they were like, yeah, we're Foxy Pirates now. We like it here. I think I got to do it. I think he's an S tier captain because we don't want to make the criteria too strict, right? Because it's like, who would you rather be following at the end of the day? Like, yeah, if you're really ambitious, maybe you want to be on the Straw Hat Pirates. Maybe you want to be following Luffy. But if you want to just have a good time on the seas and you want a captain that makes good decisions, takes smart risks, is constantly trying to give you a good environment to thrive in, you get to have fun all the time. You genuinely really like him, right? You constantly get new friends coming in and stuff. Foxy's a great pirate. Great pirate captain. Aliet05 says, Foxy legit coordinates his entire crew to win and cheat at Davy backfights. He was one of the tests for Luffy's ability as a captain and almost won. That is a good point. Yeah, really good point. For what Foxy's got working for him, which is not a lot of strength or combat ability, he really gets the most out of what he can do, right? AI says, Buggy isn't a captain, he's a con man, get rid of him. He's a better captain than Law, though. It's just unfortunately the truth. Z-Lit says, Whitebeard C. What? 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 Whitebeard C. Someone teach this man the alphabet. C. What? Everyone likes him, but he let a ton of people die for Ace just for Ace to die. We're not even we're doing this right now. We're doing this right now. All right, and there will be no discussion. No discussion had. All right? Whitebeard, tell me who your favorite captain is right now, Zealot, and I'll bump him down to D. I'll make a new tier and I'll make it E, and that's where I'll put him. Tell me who your favorite is. I want to hear it. All right, on to Bellamy next. Bellamy, I don't think a good captain. Because one, his crew is literally nowhere to be seen at this point, so at some point a diverging of values must have happened, right? Two, yeah, they support it. I just don't think I have to argue that much. I think Bellamy goes into here, category of kind of like shitty captains, right? Honestly, these two deserve better than this tier because they haven't done anything to be shown as bad captains. They just kind of just, I don't know why they're here. I literally don't. They should belong here, I think. It's good enough. Did Zealot say what his favorite captain was? Strife says if Whitebeard is not S, I'll unsubscribe. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're not insane here. All right. Whitebeard is he belongs in that. He is representative of the S class. It is a little strange that Foxy's right next to him, but we got what we got. Bellamy D, yeah, it's just like, okay, D in my opinion is just basically where, okay, the part here says if you said you have a dream, then he'd probably just beat you up. That's true, but I don't think he'd straight up kill members of his crew, whereas the rest of these guys would straight up kill members of their crew pretty indiscriminately, right? So I think Bellamy doesn't belong here, but I think these guys are too good for this tier, and I have half a mind to put them here. But then you guys are going to complain, oh no, it's happening. If this time still works for you, select OK to get set up. I never said that this time worked for me. I don't know what my computer's talking about. Dismiss will make this not happen, right? All right, let's just assume that the computer's not about to restart. Okay. Yeah, I feel like these guys are closer to this tier. You guys will get mad at me, though, if I do this. Are we okay with this? This makes more sense to me. I think this makes sense. Because, like, these guys, like, basically this tier, okay, the tiers are kind of starting to make sense, right? These are great captains. These are good captains. These are average captains. These are bad captains. These are murderous, psychopathic captains, right? I think that's the way that the tier makes sense. Like, the tiers make sense to me. Like, here, you didn't really do anything special as a captain. But you didn't really do anything remarkably bad. This is like, you're not a good captain. You're not cut out for that. This is good, right? KYD says, I'm going to take a guess and say that underlings aren't involved in the equation because if there were, every captain would be in D tier. Underling, are you talking about strength of underlings? I'm talking more so like, underlings do matter. How much the captain cares about the underlings and how much the underlings care about the captain. Joshua Lewis says, move Brooke up, please. Look, some people are telling me Brooke's not even a captain. I think he was a captain temporarily, or at least acting captain unofficially or something like that. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but I'm fairly certain that that's correct. I might be wrong. Law's not a bad captain? Yes, he is. Let me show you guys. It would probably be chapter... Okay, you guys watch this. Watch this. Probably be chapter 800. I think my guess would be, I think chapter 800 and... What chapter would Law reunite with his minx? What chapter do you guys think that is? I feel like that would be chapter 800... 802, I think they reach Zoe. So 803, 804... Maybe chapter like 804 or 5, I think, is when they meet the rest of Law's crew. No. But then they've got to actually get to the... Let's see. We've got to get to Nekomamushi, so it must be chapter like 810 or something like that. Or maybe 12. Let's see. Let's take a look. No. I was a little off. Maybe 814. Where are we at? I will prove to you Law's a bad captain. Do I suck? Have I lost my skill? I used to be able to find images so easily, but ever since I've got an image finder, I haven't had to do it as much. Where are we at? Where is this image? God damn it. Oh, yeah, all right. That's right. I came to give you an introduction. This is my crew, 20 strong. Nice to make your acquaintance, Straw Hat, the Heart Pirates. Next battle. We need to talk. The end. Disrespected. We're being disrespected, Captain. Look at that. All right. Do these look like a group of guys that feel valued and cared for by their captain? Or a bunch of minions that Law moves around as he wishes? I rest my case. He belongs here. Zealot says, I revoke my claim about Whitebeard, but you should add an F for anyone who kills or maimed their crew. Also, Law isn't a captain as much as he's a strong guy with inept goons that can't do anything. That's fair, but that's why he belongs there. He's basically a strong guy with inept goons that can't do anything. F for anyone who killed or maimed their crew. I think D. D is, basically I put D. That's basically the D tier. You know, that's the D tier. Danny Murray says, lol, that's a gag. Law's whole crew is a gag. His whole career as a captain is a gag. He's a joke. Law is basically Mihawk if the story required that Mihawk had a crew. So Mihawk, like, just technically has a crew, but he never really uses them, and they're kind of just somewhere off in the distance that pop up in the story occasionally just to remind us that we have a crew. But you know, the character basically operates without a crew because that's just not his thing. Jewelry Bonnie, I think we literally can't say, right? Literally can't say anything about Jewelry Bonnie. She was kind of rude to her crew. I think she was kind of rude to her crew, if I remember. She was rude to her crew. I think, like, she was like, bring me pizza, and then they were like, we're trying to get you more pizza, and then she got mad. So we'll just put her there. She was a little rude to her crew. I got nothing else to say. Caribou. What do you think of Caribou? AI says, Law runs a cult. 30 seconds to Zoe. Yeah. No, I don't think Law doesn't care about them. I know Law cares about his crew. But you can care about them and just not be a captain figure, really, and kind of not really get the most out of your crew, or really, like, you know, he's not really a captain, right? He's a dude who's got, as was said earlier, he's a guy who's really more of a solo artist who happens to have a bunch of groupies that follow him around that he does care for, but at the end of the day, they're basically his groupies. Richard Fireship says, let's replace Bonnie by Kid. You guys want to use Bonnie as, like, you want to use Kid instead of Bonnie? Because Kid is actually a good captain. The Kid-Killer relationship is the closest thing out of the Supernovas we have to the Luffy-Zoro relationship. I do think Kid cares quite a bit out of for his crew. KYD says Capone. Capone is very, very tricky. Because Capone, I would put in S tier right away, but there's just this weird thing in that, like, I'm going to chalk this up to inconsistency, okay? Chalking it up to inconsistency in that first introductory chapter of Capone Beige, he stabs a crew member he injures one of his crew members, which, as we just discussed, is a big no-go for being a top-tier captain. I just think that it's possible at that point Oda didn't have the character really fleshed out in his mind just yet, and, like, the honorable family sort of system. But, I mean, when Capone Beige talks about family, he might be meaning more so literally his family. No, but I think I guess we got to look at the quote, right? We got to look at the quote. Guys, by the way, back in the day, we couldn't freely just, like, check out One Piece chapters like this because it would freeze the stream. But now I have, like, all the power in the world at my fingertips. I can do anything. I can go anywhere. I can check out whatever. I think it's, like, chapter 870. You guys can be impressed by how good I can get to One Piece chapters quickly. I probably just overshot it. Or undershot it? Oh, no, I think I'm just about right. Let's see. Look at this. All right. I do care about my men and the wife and son that I love. Are you guys impressed? Who's impressed? Pause. Who's impressed? Who's impressed just now? We're doing a poll on that. Who was impressed? Me. Very impressed. Whoops. All right. Who was impressed? You guys think that I'm just some guy that can't work technology and stuff, but look at that. This is knowledge. This is One Piece knowledge. This is years of having made videos. And even though I have an image finder now, so I don't need it as much, I've still got the skills when it really comes down to it. This was not... All right. Okay, most people are saying very impressed. Thank you. I appreciate it. The partier says, I'd be more impressed if it wasn't Capone. Morge's number one favorite character. Look, the point stands. I think Capone Beige belongs in the S tier. Alexandre Casagrande says, Whitebeard is a great father and a terrible captain. Come on now. We're not gonna play that. I get the arguments, right? I get the arguments that, like, it depends a lot on your values, I suppose, like a captain sacrificing their entire crew potentially for the sake of one. But in that case, then you have to put the straw hats down, right? Because Luffy is, what he does is basically suicidal, right? Sending the entire crew to Enies Lobby for the sake of one person, right? That's insane. It literally, not even for a crew member necessarily, for someone who is saying they do not want to be a crew member, for someone who is saying, leave me the fuck alone, I don't want to join your crew, he's like, fuck it, we'll just throw it all, we'll gamble it all on this person changing her mind, and then us successfully taking her back, which is what made Enies Lobby such a crazy empowering, like, just feel-good story, the most feel-good storyline I've ever read, Enies Lobby. It's just so, it's like, literally, they don't even know, like, everything she's telling them is that she doesn't want them, but they can tell that she really does want to be with them, and that's just got to be pulled out from her from deep inside, and she has to come get over a certain level of trauma. So they risk literally everything to do the impossible, get to a point where they can just get her to admit that she wants to be with them, and then as soon as she does, then they're like, okay, now we do the next step, which is the hard part, which is actually risking, like, they don't even know from the start whether or not she wants to be with them. They go all that way and risk everything just to get an answer because they're confident that the answer will be yes, or at least they believe it. But they don't even know. They don't know until they get there, right? Enies Lobby's so good. It's so good. I should do another video on Enies Lobby. Young Midoriya says, what's the message Oda's trying to get across with Kaido? What are you looking for in his flashback? I think that's what a layered question that is, right? What a layered question that is. I mean, that's something I guess you could... KYD says Capone, question mark. Just making sure we're not behind on Super Chats. Let's keep it simple and just say that what I'm looking for in his flashback, I suppose, is, I guess... I mean, because I talked about this recently at length in a video, right? The true motivations and goals of his character are still yet to be figured out, right? So once the true I think that's really where the flashback will flesh out, right? Once the flashback fleshes out why Kaido thinks certain things that he does, I think a lot more will become clear for the arc, right? So it's not just so much why Kaido has come away with certain beliefs, like strong live, weak die, things like that. Like, there's certain things, like, he has so much emphasis on being weak-hearted, soft-hearted, things like that, so much emphasis on death being important, so much belief in, the idea of betrayal and who's going to betray who, and that X, Y, or Z can't be trusted, things like that. So many of these things, we're going to find out why Kaido believes that in his flashback, and once we figure out why he believes all of these things, I think the framework is set for the actual main messaging of the arc to basically come through. Grizzly Adams says, Law fans will say he's a great captain in one breath and then say they want/expect him to abandon his crew and travel to Laughtail with the Straughts in another. That is actually very, very accurate. The number of people who are... well, I don't think that they're thinking that he's going to, like, abandon his crew when he does that. Just rather that, like... I don't know. They view him more so... like, people associate Law at this point so much with like just being like in tandem with Luffy and the Straw Hat Pirates, basically, and the crew's just this tag along that gets dragged wherever he goes. Tuna Sub says if Chopper is a base human fruit, why are none of his forms actually human? What? Oh, yeah, no, you're right. That's something that basically is a creative liberty that Oda had to take to make his backstory, like, to make the crux of what makes his character compelling make sense. Because if Chopper, like, the whole point is that he can't be on either side, right? Rejected by animals, rejected by humans. I think there was almost no need to give Chopper a blue nose, but I think Oda wanted to have that little extra bit of, like, okay, he was an outcast even before he got the fruit. Just to add that little extra squeeze to it. But, I don't think that's a logic thing. I think that's just the way Oda wanted to get the most out of the sad backstory thing. I guess the argument you could make is that animals eating certain fruits will have different effects than humans eating certain fruits. I think that's maybe the only argument. Oh, Silvers, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. Okay, wait. Let's pull up the tier list, right? Pevel says, Capone is a mob leader. The rules of being in charge are different. A bit of internal violence is a given in the mob. You know what? Good enough for me. I'm going to put Capone in S. Caribou. Very difficult choice. Largely because I don't remember. Because Caribou is a fun character. He led that revolution. But his actual crew, I think he cared about his brother, right? I don't think he cared about anybody else in that crew. Usama Liamuni says, yeah, I'm so used to Law hanging out with Luffy that I actually can't imagine the Straw Hats not interacting with Law. Yeah, Law's really become a staple in the story. It'll be crazy when he dies. Mr. Creston says, I think Law's crew is interesting and unique compared to others. He's mainly a surgeon with other nurses in an operating room, but just also as a pirate. That is an amazing analogy, Mr. Creston. I like that quite a bit. That's a great analogy. But imagine if all the nurses were dumb as shit and always in some other room on the other end of the hospital. That's basically what he's working with. D, he isn't a good captain. I don't feel like thinking about Caribou enough to make an argument otherwise. So let's just move on. Zal says, I think he would kill his own crewmates. I feel like that's some unfair stereotyping. Do you guys remember cover story Caribou? Revolutionary Army Caribou? Does anyone remember Revolutionary Army Caribou? Not Revolutionary Army like Dragon's Revolutionary Army, but like mini Revolutionary Army. Like, One Small Island's revolution, you know? That Caribou wasn't bad. You remember he formed that connection with that grandma? Remember that? The grandma thing? I think that's something. I think Caribou's not as bad as we think. Ray27 says Caribou hasn't had a crew in like 400 chapters. Yeah. C for Caribou. I think the grandma thing puts him in a C. I don't know why. Maximiliano Crespo says, you think Luffy is pro-marriage, as it is binding and he's about freedom. Personally, I think marriage is overrated. I think you got some personal some personal stuff to unpack there that you're trying to fit into that. But I don't know if Luffy is pro-marriage, or Luffy wouldn't understand what that is necessarily. You know what? Let's just say Luffy is not the type to get married. Simple reason being, you look at so many of the other Luffy-esque figures throughout characters that you can view as kind of like a mold of kind of the lifestyle Luffy is living and embodying similar values. So you can look at Roger, Shanks, right? The Straw Hat Bearers don't exactly wear... I mean, actually, you could say it as a joke, but it is actually... There's truth to it, which is that these type of characters that basically keep wandering the world, keep going on being very unbound, untethered, or whatever... Like a Roger, like a Shanks, they would not necessarily get married. I think there actually is maybe something to that. Flip side, you could argue Odin and Toki. So, I don't know. Can go a few ways. KYD says, Morge equals S tier captain, make the poll. If I make a poll of what tier I belong in as a captain, you want me to... You want me to just embarrass myself like that? You want me to put up the poll, S, A, B, C, D, everyone votes D? You want to see? You want to play out this expected gag? Huh? All right, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, Hawkins. I think that should be... Hawkins almost deserves a separate tier, I think. Separate tier. Oh, 44%. It's pretty good. All right. All right. I'll take it. Hawkins, I think, is an easy D. Drake is a weird one because Drake, like... I think Drake belongs in D too, because what happened to Ben McGregor? Says not voting. Repeat that, says I closed the poll. All your abstaining is quite admirable. It will be noted. You know, very valiant stands you guys are making by refusing to strong stands against fascism you guys are making right there. I'm sure the entire community views you guys as heroes. But the people have voted. And we know where I stand. Over here. Okay. Yeah, I think right here, I don't know. Like, what happened with X-Drake's? What happened here? What happened with Drake's crew? AJK says, Morge, how could you forget about Naguri? How dare you? I don't know who Naguri is. Who's Naguri? I didn't make this tier list, by the way. This is just what we found as a pre-made template. Okay? You think I would have added Demalo Black and his gang if I was the one making this list? Of course not. Who's Naguri? I think Ace is a C. Yeah, what happened with Drake's tier? With Drake's crew? I think Drake threw away his entire crew, or he was faking it because he's a Marine, in which case that's a huge betrayal of your crew, so I kind of want to put him here. You know what I mean? It's Caribou's cousin. Someone... Naguri was anime only. Someone clarify what happened with Drake's... What happened with Drake? I'm leaving him here. Does nobody care? Drake wasn't a captain? Yeah, Drake was a faker. Alright, we're going to leave him here. I think Ace is here. Ace isn't worse than Law. Come on, says Juan Perret. No, because the thing is, Ace's whole crew defected, like, right away. Like, within a day, they were on Whitebeard's side. It's kind of ridiculous. It's actually embarrassing. I think it's genuinely embarrassing. Because it's just like, your whole crew switched over. Those guys, like, Ace was ready to fight for his crew. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was ready to fight for his crew. He actually used a wall of fire to separate his crew from Whitebeard so that he could fight just Whitebeard alone. And was like, don't go after my men, etc. Ace was Ace has the spirit of a good captain, but I don't think his crew actually was too hot about him. Ha ha ha. You know? Like, they just... If your whole crew just defects... I don't think Law's crew would just defect over to the Straw Hat Pirates or just whoever beats up Law. First person to beat up Law, they're like, fuck it, we're joining that person. Silver says, read the Ace manga. I'm not interested in whatever weird fan fiction bullshit that's filled with. But even if I read even if we pretend the Ace novel is canon, even if we pretend that Oda, spent long nights burning the, candle wick to the ground or whatever, just writing in detail this Ace novel on top of all the other shit he does. Let's pretend that Oda fucking wrote this shit by hand, okay? In this fantasy world, if we're pretending the Ace novel is canon, how does that change the fact that his crew defected? Did they not defect? If they defected, he stays in C, right? Drusser says it doesn't change anything, Morge, no need to read it. Juan Perez says, didn't even go to Marine Ford. You know what, he's right? I didn't even think of that, Juan. Where were they at Marine Ford? Where was Ace at the gallows at Marine Ford being like, the Whitebeard pirates and my favorite Spade pirates, my My OG gang. What were their names? I know their names. I know their names. But the fact that we never got them in the manga suggests they weren't that important. The part here says, my super chat, Jinbei should be on that list. He was a captain. Also, hater opinion. I think Chopper is the most disappointing character in One Piece. Cool just in his intro arc and one chapter in any lobby. All right, I'll say this basically, which is Jinbei should be on the list. I didn't make the list. I would happily put Jinbei on the list, and I think Jinbei is a very good Jinbei is a good captain in my opinion. It's just he's kind of, there's nothing that really stands out about him as a captain, I suppose. No, but he even made the sacrifice, staying behind with the crew and everything. I think he's a good captain. I think it's part of it is just that he's not a particularly ambitious, like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Jinbei would rank well. I'll just say that. Jinbei would rank well. Despite what people say about me and Jinbei, I actually have come around to like Jinbei and overall, and I would never say he's a bad captain. All right. But with Chopper, I think Chopper had a lot of actually really, really good moments pre-time skip, like from start to finish. Because you have Drum Kingdom, obviously, right? But then Skypiea, which people forget, is actually probably the second most important Chopper arc in the entire series. Then, of course, you have... No, it's happening. The internet. The bad internet. Okay, we're fine. All right. Okay, so... I was like having flashbacks, just like, it's happening all over again. It's not the computer that's cursed, it's me. I'm the one that's cursed. The streams will always crash. All right. Hits over hype says, use someone as Bartolomeo and S tier it. Okay. Bartolomeo, he's, I don't know how I'd feel about my captain being just a fanboy of some other captain. I don't know where to put Bartolomeo. But my thoughts on Chopper is just, I think Skypiea is the second best Chopper arc after Drum Kingdom, and that was really good for him. Any Slobby, obviously good for him again. Long Ring, Longland, actually obviously like another good arc. And then even Thriller Bark, he had the Hogback storyline, which is actually a unique little angle on Chopper actually taking stances on like good and bad doctor practice and things like that. I think overall Chopper was actually very well used pre-time skip, and I think post-time skip, the only thing that's been missing, he has actually had good stuff kind of post-time skip. It's just been in the background a little bit, and a lot of it's actually been like him standing up and being independent and taking charge of storylines himself, which he would never do pre-time skip, except for in Skypiea, where a big deal was made out of the fact that this is the first time that he's venturing out on his own and trying to lead a storyline and accomplish something by himself, and that was a whole plot line, right? But post-time skip, he's actually been very active in taking initiative and doing things by himself. I think Whole Cake Island was actually a really, really great example of that. Even early Wano, you can see him basically leading the expedition to go to the jail, break Luffy out. Chopper, his independence, I think, like him taking a step forward in terms of maturity and things like that, that has been subtly important throughout post-time skip. The one thing that's really missing, in my opinion, for Chopper is like finally actually getting something like not just subtly in the background or whatever that's happening that you can kind of observe as a shift in his character, but rather like an actual character storyline or character conflict that really matters, right? So I think that that's something that's still missing. I think we could definitely still get that in Wano with the smiles and everything like that. I did a video on that very early on in the arc. I do think that Chopper will be the one to cue the smiles, and I think something good will come out of that. I'd say the biggest disservice Oda did for Chopper by far was the Ice Onis thing, which was mind-blowingly bad, considering how many chapters that spanned across and what potential it had for Chopper. But again, I think Chopper's more important things that'll be coming for him this arc will be the Smile Fruit related stuff. So Ice Oni stuff, I guess, whatever. So Hancock as a captain. I mean, Hancock's really difficult to judge as a captain. I get the sense she's a bad captain because of how mean she is to just, like, people for no reason. She did kick the cat. Or was it the dog or puppy? I forget the order in which she's kicked things. But she did kick one of her crewmates' pets right away. Right? So I think Hancock actually belongs here. Like, we know she wouldn't do anything to her sisters, but I wouldn't be surprised if she froze, like, turned to stone some of the members of her own crew. Like, maybe she belongs here. I guess she belongs here. But I think she's better. Like, sorry, I think like Law is probably better than her. Like, I think it's unfair to put Law in the same tier as Hancock because Hancock's not as bad as these guys, but it doesn't feel like she belongs here. It's hard to say. A kitten, I believe, says Virgil Hawkins. Yeah, so you can't do that. It was a puppy. KYD says Doflamingo. Yeah, Doflamingo's here. We got Doflamingo. We'll get to him shortly. He's only a couple away. William says she's really cute though, so S. I mean, that is how it works canonically, right? Joey Jojo says, hey, that's a good idea. What's the best arc for each Straw Hat? I think it would be more interesting if you mention arcs that aren't their intro arcs. Joey Jojo, that is a great idea. I like how you say, hey, that's a good idea, as though I'm the one who came up with that idea. But no, you were the one who came up with that idea. I just said some stuff that accidentally prompted it. So big props to you. Thanks, man. I think that's a really good idea. I actually love that idea. I think that we could do a stream that's basically, because the next stream I was going to do is actually basically, here's the ones I was tossing around. I've got a few options, okay? We can do a poll right here. I was going to do cover stories. No. You know what? I don't want to do a poll because then it's like, we're going to get to everything in the poll anyway, so I don't want to just sort it by like what's the most popular to least popular or whatever, because we're going to be covering them all anyway. But I was going to do cover stories probably for the next one, or Luffy's attacks basically as the next one, like tier list, cover stories tier list, Luffy's attacks tier list, those sort of things. That's what I was jumping between, but I actually really like that idea of best arc for each Straw Hat outside of their main arc. That's actually really fun. So we might do that, and we might do like top 3 for everyone. Pirate Hero says, okay, not everyone. But everyone's best arc would be Any Slobby lol, says Pirate Hero. Any Slobby is easily the arc where like everybody got the most all-around shine. I think that there's no Straw Hat who you would be disappointed for coming out of Any Slobby. You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody exceeded expectations. I could see, because even if like certain characters, you might be looking at Zoro and be like, okay, Zoro got a really good fight or something like that, but not necessarily as good as Mr. One or something, right? You could say that, but then you look at the character moments Zoro got throughout that arc, and, you know, starting from early on in Water 7 and the things that they had to go through there, and Zoro's kind of stepping up as a leader from the start, which you don't see as much in prior arcs or as emphasized, all the way to the end with him and Usopp. And plus just the great moments across the sea train and everything like that. Like, holistically, you would be like, yeah, this was a great arc as a Zoro fan. Same thing with Sanji, right? Sanji finally gets a really big fight, which you've been waiting on most likely since Alabasta, right? Same thing with Usopp. Even if you're looking for a good fight for Usopp, he doesn't get one. That's kind of the point, because the whole arc was basically about Usopp learning to fit in without having to beat up, you know, the strongest enemies and things like that. Like, there's no character you can really feel disappointed for at the end of any Slobby. Everybody got something. Phantom Greyfire says, Miss Super, thanks Phantom, from Rohan. Love the streams, Morge. What do you think Luffy has to do to surpass Whitebeard as a captain? I mean, you can always make the argument he's already done it. Like, past a certain point, it's just like, you're not even really ranking, like, the things that make, like, okay, let's be real. If we add a row above, right, then we've probably got, you know, Whitebeard, Luffy, probably Roger. Like, these guys, it's just like, they're so above and beyond in terms of theoretically like what they do for their crew, right? It's just like, there's not really, like, you can't really talk, like, what's more impressive, what Whitebeard did at Marineford or what Luffy did in Any Slobby? It's essentially the same thing, right? Going to the ends of the earth and taking on the entire world for the sake of one of your own, right? Like, it's, they both go to such lengths and such sacrifices for their own. It's like, who even, what are you even ranking past a certain point? And Roger, we know, obviously we haven't seen as much of Roger, but we know from, like, the most important thing that was described about Roger, that Garp told us about Roger, is that what really, really triggered him and sent him into some basically unstoppable demon-type mode. I'm not thinking, like, literal demon mode, but, like, basically what made Roger get his reputation as this unstoppable force, basically, was when one of his crew members was threatened, right? So he would do anything that he possibly could to defend his crew. And Ace, basically the same thing that Ace used to do, which is, like, when you have somebody that you care about behind you, then you basically don't back down and just become this wall that protects the people that are relying on you, right? That was the same thing. Like, that was the same trait that Ace had that made Roger Roger, right? Which is part of the tragedy of it, that the qualities that made Roger so powerful, you know, in the grand scheme, like, become so great in the grand scheme of things, have such a strong spirit and be able to rise to essentially the top of the pirate world. Ace also had those, but having those qualities, obviously, it's a double-edged sword, right? It gives you the potential to be so strong, right? But at the same time, you can just end up like Ace did, basically dead at a young age before fully reaching your potential, because you have that quality that you have to protect, you know, the people you care about no matter what, because that is ultimately how Ace died. So it's just, that was something that was really played up towards the final parts of Marine Ford, having those traits. Yeah, like, these characters have those traits, and those traits are dangerous to have, but that is also ultimately what makes you such a good captain. Ace should be right up here. Ace should be right up here, but he, I don't know, just has a shitty personality, or I don't know what it is, but he picked the wrong people, doesn't have the knack for picking people that Luffy does, and his crew kind of sucked, so they stay here. I shouldn't have jumped ahead and just ranked everybody, but you know what I mean. Luffy is not S tier yet, says Joe. I mean, I don't really know. Jesus Christ. All right, let's say 1 hour. All right. I don't really know what do you need to see Luffy do to put him in that tier. I think Luffy is still progressing as a captain, and I think by the end of I think Wano has a lot of themes basically around leadership and stuff like that that suggest that Luffy is going to take a big step forward even as a leader by the end of this arc. But it's like kind of at a point where it's just like now it's just going above and beyond basically. So I don't think anything else to really say there. Where are we at? Grizzly Adam says, what do you think Kong will do during the final arc? I think he'll fight Garp. I have an interesting theory on Garp, which is that I think at the end, and people don't agree with this, but I'm cool with it. I think it's just interesting. I personally think that Garp and Sengoku may fight each other during the final arc, but I could see Garp fighting Kong. And it wouldn't be like Garp and Sengoku like fighting to the death or something like that, but I think that they may just find each other on opposite sides of the battlefield, and I think that would be a really potentially touching battle between the two of them, both having to fight for what they believe is, like, Sengoku maybe still, despite everything the world government doing, still finding himself just feeling like he has to stick to his duty even if he doesn't really want to, and then Garp having made the decision to finally leave the Marines and maybe fighting on the side of the Monkey D family, the revolutionaries or something like that. I think it'd be really interesting to see them clash on the battlefield, and maybe Sengoku, through fighting Garp, ultimately changing his mind and backing down or something. I don't know. I think something like that would be cool to see. I have no idea if that's actually what's going to happen. You know what? If you wanted to pick like a more, I guess, believable matchup in this moment, Garp versus Kong maybe makes more sense because it's just, you know, I guess less, there's less thinking required for that, right? Like, it's just more obvious. Garp will probably be on the good guy's side. Kong probably won't. Therefore, you know, Garp versus Kong makes sense. But I do like the idea that maybe Garp and Sengoku could find themselves on opposite sides by the end of it, with Sengoku ultimately having to change his mind. Ainsley Meyer says, Whitebeard's brother literally defects to his number one rival post-fight. Whitebeard's brother? I'm confused. Oh, Odin. Odin literally defects to his number one rival post-fight, risks his kids for Golden Boy Ace, but ducks Wano/Kaido as if he's... Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're shitting on Garp, or Whitebeard, but, I mean, Whitebeard, it's not... He let Odin go, because Odin and Whitebeard, it's not the same. Odin's not the same. Odin was always a different spirit. He didn't, like, Whitebeard from the start called it and was like, you're not going to be a good fit on this crew. Obviously, over time, Whitebeard grew accustomed to having Odin on his crew, but, so he was upset when Odin was leaving, but initially, Whitebeard was like, no, you just have no place with us here. You don't fit. You don't fit the type of people that are here, right? You're a conqueror. You go do your own thing, basically. And risks his kid, ducks Kaido. Risks his kids for Ace, but ducks Kaido and stuff. I see what people are saying there, but I view that as basically Oda having to write over some, obviously my bias is showing here, but I view that as Oda having to write in a reason, which is just basically like, okay, well, Whitebeard just didn't know about what was going on in Wano. All right, so he didn't know until it was too late. And then, after everything happened with Kaido taking over Wano, at that point, it would just be swooping in for revenge or to save the people of Wano, which I don't think Whitebeard arbitrate. No, but he does protect islands and stuff for people that are his friends. Look, I don't want to talk about it. We're gonna move on. All right. I see that there's some holes. I think that Oda kind of just had to cover up. I don't think it's as cut and dry as some people say, though, with like Whitebeard just ignored Wano. I think it was more complicated than that. Like, you could get into like the balance of the world and why like trying to attack Wano and potentially going to war with Kaido could basically like, that's a much bigger deal than just saying like, hey, Fishman Island is my turf or something like that, And when Whitebeard went to war at Marineford, it was to save Ace. Whereas with Wano, Odin's already dead, right? Odin's dead and gone. It's just different. Martin Castro says, people who don't count DBF, Water 7, and Enislabi as one story arc need to get some wrinkles in their brain. Stop splitting them. Love the stream. Yeah, it is basically all one. It's just one story arc, basically. I mean, it literally is one story arc. I could see arguing Davy Backfight as a separate story arc, because it's kind of like how Jaya, Skypiea, you could argue them as separate, but they also flow perfectly naturally together, and one sets up the other, and it just goes from A to B so smoothly. It just feels like one story, but Water 7 and Enislabi, definitely those are one. All right, Miriam, the best subscriber, says, how the heck is my boy Law in the same spot as Bellamy? It's complicated. Nah, bring my boy up a tier. What is this shenanigans? It's complicated. I feel like I've had to explain Law so many times. Supreme Pirate King says, did this poll leave out Rocks? We don't know anything about Rocks. As far as we know, he wasn't a good captain, though, because he couldn't keep the crew together, and they all left him at the end. With Law, right? All it is, I'm sure he cares about his crew. It seems like he cares about his crew. He'll fight to protect them and stuff, but he does treat them as these little minion pawns that he can shove to the side and ignore for hundreds of chapters or like months on end, and then basically call them back into the picture whenever he feels like it. And he doesn't use them much, and they kind of just chill, and they don't think he appreciates them much, and I just don't think he's much of a captain. He's more like Mihawk, again, as I said. He's like Mihawk if Mihawk had a crew. Peyton, a crew that he had to, that he couldn't just like ditch, basically. A crew that sticks around and is kind of there and is useful at some points, but for the most part, Mihawk doesn't really need to fuck with them. Peyton Darnell says, hey Morge, love the content and streams are a lot of help in getting through exams and projects. Finally decided to donate because of Foxy. Keep it up. Thank you, Peyton. And I knew that moving Foxy up was a good decision. I knew it would sway some people over. It's also interesting to me that I get like a lot of you kind of watch these streams when you're supposed to be doing other stuff. For example, exams, projects, homework in general. A lot of people comment and are just like, I'm watching Morge instead of doing my essay or something like that, or this is helping me study for my exam tomorrow, or this is like I'm doing my math homework on the side or something. Like, I just I don't know. I don't know why this sort of stream just lends itself to that, but that's the way it is. KYD says, sorry for the off-topic question, but would you see Kaido protecting Luffy after Luffy's completely done for when the Marines come to Wano? From what I see, Kaido's respect for Luffy increases with each chapter. I don't know about Kaido, like, protecting Luffy in that sense. Like, it depends on what Kaido wants out of Luffy. Like, if we were to say that Kaido defeats Luffy, right? It depends on what Kaido wants out of Luffy. Like, if Luffy's dead, like, how far past are we from Kaido ever wanting Luffy as a soldier? Probably pretty far past that, right? Just protecting him out of respect, I don't know. I think that Kaido would want to win straight up a battle to the death. I don't know if he would want Luffy sticking around after that or something. And I you know what? I don't think Kaido would just protect Luffy like that, because I think Kaido does put a lot of value into like strong living, weak dying or whatever. So if like Luffy is lost to him and then his fate is basically to be captured and taken in by the Marines, I think Kaido would be maybe okay with that. I think it's one of those things where it's like, if Kaido were to beat Luffy through a cheat like he did against Gear 4th, then that sways Kaido's opinion a lot. Then maybe, I don't know, maybe he wants a rematch, who knows. But if he beats him straight up, then I think he's basically like, has registered his respect for Luffy, but I don't know if he'd go out of his way to like stick his neck out for Luffy. Nyron King says, I'm listening to Morge while selling weed around town. So that's a bit of a different different side task. Ivan back from the card shop says, does Shanks get negative points for being the deadbeat parent crew? Shanks, I think, is a good captain as far as we can tell. I think that, you know what? Prioritizing your crew over your family, actually, it doesn't make you a good person, but it probably arguably makes you a pretty good captain. Jake Jones says, going to listen to this at work later. Thanks for the good work, as always, you sexy man. Thank you, Jake Jones. That's exactly what I wanted to hear from you. Fisher Tiger. Fisher Tiger was a good captain, right? Fisher Tiger was a good captain. He literally freed... I think Fisher Tiger goes up here, right? I mean, he literally freed... His crew were almost entirely slaves, right? Not all of them, but they were all slaves. Like, he was a good... Fisher Tiger was actually a great captain, right? First of all, freed many of his crew members, right? So many of them just owe him their lives, right? Two, he brought together, like, Fisher Tiger is actually one of the most impressive captains in One Piece because within his crew, you had such differing, like, starkly differing opinions on a very, very hot, you know, very divisive, polarizing issue, which was basically how they feel towards humans and what actions they want to take towards humans, right? And despite Arlong, characters like Arlong, like Jinbei, characters in the middle like Hachi, like there's a wide spectrum of opinions on basically how they want to be interacting with humans and everything like that. But all of them were united and kind of were able to set that aside because of the respect they had for Fisher Tiger, right? Just seeing like kind of the dialogue that Arlong had with Fisher Tiger and like the respect that Arlong put on his name, despite heavily disagreeing with so much of what Fisher Tiger was doing, taking Koala and everything like that into the ship. Even Jinbei, who didn't have necessarily the greatest fondness for humans and things like everybody was able to get behind Fisher Tiger's decisions, no matter how, I guess, controversial they were. And I guess the love that the fishmen, the Sun Pirates had for Fisher Tiger, that was as great as any crew has ever had for their captain, because we saw how devastating it was for them to lose Fisher Tiger in the way that they did, right? And it led to like Arlong basically going insane, leading to him being taken out by Kizaru because he's going on this rampage. Jinbei, that basically, like, the ripple effects, his death spawned 3 different crews coming out of it, all leading like different ideologies, I guess, to a degree. Obviously, some of those crews more important than others because you can get to the the pirates that get fucking that ended up at Saboti and everything like that. But Macro, you know what I mean. And a jogger while saying Fisher Tiger respect, OMG, this is the weirdest Morge stream ever. First he thanks the mods, then he gives credit to the fisherman. What? I love Fisher Tiger. Fisher Tiger has one of my favorite quotes in all of One Piece. One of my favorite quotes in all of One Piece. He's a truly great character. Sad thing is I didn't appreciate him when I was first reading Fishman Island because, look, you got to understand, Fishman Island, when I was first reading it in high school, okay? In high school, and definitely at a point where most people who were reading weekly at that point in time, sorry, one sec. Most people who were reading weekly at that point in time, like, we're not enjoying Fishman Island because we're coming hot off a Marineford, we're coming hot off a time skip. We want to see the Straughts actually get out into the New World and go crazy and fight all these big threats that have been set up for so long that they just got crushed by. We want to see them do stuff, right? Instead, they're stuck in this fucking bubble, which is basically just like a bunch of characters we hardly know about, right? This is very, very... I don't want to bitch about Fishman Island too much, right? But the weekly reading experience was not fun because of where Oda had... what he had done for the story beforehand, what we were excited for coming out of that, and where we were stuck at, and just how long the arc was, how much exposition, etc. And the story itself is a very, very, very tame story. There's not much adventure. The Straughts don't actually do that much. They kind of just sit around and learn things, okay, basically. It was like... But now I appreciate the Fishman Island arc a lot more, because I realize now it was kind of an intermission point for the story, right? The New World really starts around chapter 654, okay? Their little stint in Fishman Island is basically the calm before their actual adventure really begins. And so now I view Fishman Island very differently. And on top of that, yeah, Fisher Tiger, one of the greatest characters in One Piece, in my opinion. And I think he, like, the quote that I'm talking about that was a really, really, really great quote by him, I think, was basically, as he's dying, he basically says that, shit, I don't remember the exact words of the language at this point, but basically says he could not bring himself to love the humans. And he knows that he refuses the blood. He's like, I could not bring myself to love the humans except the humans or whatever. And it feels very, it's something like a little more nuanced than you would normally expect, because he knows what the right path is, which is that the right way to the future is basically learning to live with the humans, learning to overcome their hate, prejudices, etc., and over time being able to develop that. And we even saw him get parts of that with Koala, the relationship with Koala, and seeing that humans could be good, and him opening himself up to taking care of her and genuinely caring for her and everything like that. But then what the humans do to him afterwards, obviously that confirms his worst feelings and beliefs about humans. And then at the end of the day, he can't let go of that, right? So I love the fact that his character ends with not like this pure belief. Obviously that's what Otahime was for, but not with this pure belief that, the right thing to do. I know that things went bad or whatever, but the right thing to do is to continue to love the humans. He literally, like, his brain told him he knew what the correct thing was. He knew what the correct path was. He knew logically not all humans are bad. He'd seen that himself with Koala. But at the end of the day, he couldn't bring himself to get over the rightfully earned prejudice and hate that he had for humans. And I don't know, I just like his backstory is one of the best backstories in One Piece. And juxtaposing it with Otahime's was also really good. It's just a very, very, I don't know. Like the feeling that the final feelings that he has as a character, it's very, very strong, because it just, I mean, it hits you in a hard way, because it's just so believable, and it's not this perfect figure who's able to come away with this perfect philosophy the same way so many of these other One Piece characters kind of die with, like a Hero-Look, like a Whitebeard, like a Bellemere, right? They're able to, like a Jaguar Sol, they're able to leave you with such a clean, pure message despite what they went through. But Fisher Tiger's case, it's actually much more raw and sort of, I don't know, real message, a real feeling. Like, it feels like it's coming from a real person who experienced it. I feel like I'm talking about him long enough, and don't want to, sorry, just looking at time, don't want to drag this out too much to basically just be a pure Fisher Tiger stream. But you guys understand that, jokes aside, I do really like Fisher Tiger. He's I think the Fishman character flashbacks are probably some of the best flashbacks in the series. Ivan back from the card shop. No, we covered you. Jake Jones covered you. One sec. Cigar Verk says, when are we going to do a toxic power scaling stream? Power scaling stream I will do after Wano. I promise I will do after Wano or after Act 3 ends, because I think we'll have enough. I guess really after Act 3 ends, basically. Because at that point we'll have enough. I just want like clean, I guess, data, you could say, to work with. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, like, if we were to try to do a power scaling stream before this battle started, then we would have just been guessing. People would have been like, fuck it, Zoro over King or something. Or some other people would have been like, fuck it, like Zoro below Sasaki or something like that, right? This was before the battle started. Now we kind of have a better idea. We're like, okay, Zoro before this was weaker than King. Zoro now is stronger than King, so we can say he ranks about here, stuff like that. So I just kind of need to see this all play out, and then we can kind of try and settle where maybe some characters fall. Grizzly Adams says, the Foxy fight parallels the Lucci fight in a few ways. Refusal to stay down, a crewmate at stake, final punch barrage, even panel composition. You are probably 100% right, but I hate going back to reread the Foxy fight, because it was actually just irritating for me. Watched it first in the anime. The anime had funny points for sure. I think some of the gags during the Foxy fight were great, but it just dragged for me, and after a bit, like, the fun of seeing Luffy fight this unconventional sort of tricky villain kind of wore off, and I was kind of just like, look, I know Luffy's going to win, but it's kind of like over-dramatizing it, because it's really not a high-stakes or particularly threatening villain, and I feel like Luffy should have wrapped this up a lot earlier, so I'm not really emotionally too pumped to see Luffy finally, like, I was kind of annoyed that it just took that long, I guess. Les says, a Strahd Beast-Pirate Alliance is more dangerous than a Big Mom Beast-Pirate Alliance. Thoughts? I mean, now, it's like, it's so hard to say. It's like, yeah, maybe now, I guess at this point, because now, Strahd Alliance, Luffy's got the Nika fruit awakened, Zoro is just, God knows how strong he is at this point, Sanji, same thing. So many of the Strats are so much stronger at this point. Like, the Strat crew hasn't even gone all out. Like, Usopp hasn't done much fighting. Chopper hasn't done much fighting. Brook didn't really have to do much. Jinbei got his fight over easily, right? So it depends, right? But at the same time, if the Beast Pirates, as I personally believe, turn it around and defeat the Strats here, I think we could kind of reshift our framing back to, okay, maybe the Strats aren't quite as strong as the Yonko crew just yet. So it depends a little bit on how things play out. But at the moment, yeah, I would say sure. It depends how much you value numbers, but the Strats also have their Grand Fleet and more allies that matter than Big Mom, so it's a tricky case. Yeah, Grand Fleet. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree at this moment. Okay, let's move this along because I have some food to pick up from Sweet Green. All right. Usopp. I'm just going to put him here. It's just like technically a good captain, but also their children. I just put very little. And he had one. I'm not going to discuss this. I'm putting him here. Doflamingo. Where do we put Doflamingo? I know Jagrawal says the Morge fan / NBA fan intersection is crazy. Who's talking about the game right now? How is the game going? Doflamingo. Let's see Doflamingo. I really don't know how people are going to place him. Because Doflamingo, it's interesting. A lot of things pointed to him, yes, perhaps actually caring about his family members. But at the same time, you know, you have characters like Law calling him out and basically saying, like, or telling Treble, like, look, if you actually believe he cares about you, you're fooling yourself and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not putting Doflamingo in S because I don't know. We never truly got proof that Doflamingo cared about his family. It's a case where all of these guys have shown us, right? And Doflamingo's family, the Don Quixote pirates definitely do care about him, but first of all, the Don Quixote pirates, like, there's a decent amount of betrayal going on there, right? Like, obviously Law and Corazon and such, but, like, you know, even just fucking Baby 5, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more, like, Senor Pink down the line and stuff like that. And two, I think that we never really definitely knew for sure. Like, I don't know. No, so people are saying he cared. I do believe he cared. Like, I do believe it emotionally hit him when he lost his members. But I'm saying, remember, Luffy and the Straw Hat. Luffy went to literally declare war on the entire world for the sake of Robin, right? Whitebeard risked literally everything for the sake of, like, the things that these guys do for their crew above and beyond that we have been shown. It's light years ahead of anything. Like, Doflamingo never showed anything, right? We saw reactions, but I'm saying actions, not reactions, actions. Would Doflamingo have pulled what Luffy pulled in terms of any slobby, right? Would he have pulled what Whitebeard pulled? I don't think so, right? He asked Monet to kill herself at the end of the day. You could say, well, Monet was not one of his closest, I suppose, members, right? But Virgo died in that explosion as well, as far as we know. And Doflamingo okayed that. I just don't. We've never been shown Doflamingo actually, like, we've seen small things like he'll protect Jorah, he'll, like, go save his family members when they're in danger, but has he actually shown that he values them above his own life? Let's say that. Does he value them above his own life? I don't think so. Golden Age says Dofi cares, but not enough to give away his power. Exactly. These guys value their crew basically well above themselves. Roger, again, we haven't seen much of Roger, but we were told for a fact that he does, right? That is the defining characteristic of Roger, at least according to Garp, Dadan, etc., that, like, Roger would basically do anything to protect his crewmates and would put his life on the line for them, right? Fisher Tiger, maybe we haven't been shown that, but at the same time, we do kind of know, like, his first act was to go free all of the slaves in Marijoa and put his life on the line. Yeah, so I think it's pretty simple. I think he belongs probably here, to be honest, because I think even Beige... Nah, I don't know. I'm going to put him here. It's too hard. I think actually this whole tier should maybe be the same, right? Why did I separate this tier? I think that makes it easier. I think this makes it easier. I think this whole tier can be one tier. And I think that keeps it simple. Does that seem right? Yeah, I think this is all one tier. I think we fixed it. Okay, Blackbeard. Blackbeard is tricky. Yeah, Kamosh Silence, we talked about that, but I think it was kind of determined that seems like a strong outlier from at least... That seems a bit too early for Oda to have his actual concept of how he wants to write this character. Because everything we saw from him further down seems to suggest that Beige is a more honorable character. Yeah, I think this is fine. All right. This is a... I like having different colors in this. Let me change S to something else, or S+. What are we missing? Do we have an orange? I don't like the way this color spectrum looks, but let me change it one more time. How about now? Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. Blackbeard. I think we literally can't tell, can we? I think we literally can't tell. I'm going to put Blackbeard in B for now because I think I don't think we have a way of telling. I think we've got no real concept of being able to tell how much Blackbeard cares about his crew. I think he cares moderately because like when they were fighting Ace, he told them all to get back and get away. I think he has inspired a good deal of trust in his crew because they are willing to take risks, like Lafitte going all the way to Marijoa to speak on his behalf. At the same time, Shiryu said something interesting, which was when Blackbeard was doing the little experiment to find out if he could actually steal Whitebeard's fruit, Shiryu said, like, what happens if this doesn't work? Do we all disband? Which doesn't sound like... It sounds as though their faith in their captain is very results-oriented, and Blackbeard basically promising them that, like, I will be able to get us to these heights or whatever. So I really don't know. I'm going to keep him here for now. Chris Johnson made a great point. If he's willing to kill Thatch, he's willing to kill his own crew. I don't know if that's 100% because he may have never viewed himself as a true Whitebeard crew member in the first place, so the entire time he's playing a facade, whereas he may care more about his own crew, but very hard to tell. I think I'm going to leave him here for now because it's too hard to tell. Too hard to tell. But he doesn't have anything I'm going to keep him here. I'm going to keep... Too hard to tell. Leave it here. Unknown. Kaido, I think Kaido's a terrible captain. Terrible captain. As far as we know, his crew respects him quite a bit, but as far as we know, his entire crew is basically people who he's essentially beaten down and made to submit to him. No, but that's not true. Not true. Let me backtrack, because that was an earlier impression we had of Kaido, but look at Kaido and King's relationship, look at Kaido and King's relationship. I think maybe we could assume Kaido and Queen's similar relationship. Kaido did stick his neck. He did be like, he spoke up for Jack and was like, Jack's not weak. You guys are just whatever. I think Kaido is, he's a bad captain because okay, this is tricky because he will do bad things, right? So in theory, he will hurt his own crew members. That's one of the first things we saw him doing. If you're lower on the ladder, he will fuck you up, right? Doflamingo did this as well, but Doflamingo ended up here. But he does seem to care or have a relationship with some. It's just like, how far does that extend? I don't think it extends that far. Doflamingo, he does try and treat a larger number of characters as his family, right? And he does seem to care about them to varying levels of degrees from top to bottom in his family. Kaido, I think as far as we know, only cares about King and like he's kind of nice to Jack and stuff, and we can maybe assume about Queen, but I don't know if he cares about anybody else. I'm going to keep Kaido here. I'm going to keep Kaido in here because there's more to it than King and, King and his top dogs, right? Kappa says he didn't beat Ulti in page 1. Sure, yeah, that's true. But like at the same time, it's just like, I think his crew also seems to fear him because like, I mean, what am I saying? seems like. We know they do. Even the Tobiropo, their first conversation, they were all telling Ulti to shut up because the one thing you can't really... The one taboo thing is kind of basically saying shit that will... that's insulting or whatever regarding Kaido, right? So there is some level of fear there. Kaido did raise the two siblings. It's just, I think he belongs in D. If he leads by fear and he's only nice to those he deems strong, I think he's here. Whereas Doflamingo, I think it's fairer to put him in here because it just seems like there's a wider net that he casts that's not really based on strength. The people that he doesn't really count as part of his family or part of the true Don Quixote pirates are just like the fodder, right? And that's a little different because Kaido, we can't even tell how big his ring is or really how much it matters at all. Big Mom, Easy D, she's the nastiest old hag, as they say, to her own children. We know Big Mom's an Easy D. Wapple, I don't know. I don't think he actively hurts his crew members or anything like that as far as we know, right? I mean, he does if you go against Wapple, but I guess that stands for anybody. If you go against your captain, then whatever. I was going to talk about like how Dalton went against Wapple back when Wapple was the king. That's not the same, right? That's not the same. Let's put Wapple here. I think it's kind of straightforward. Oh, Philly's up? All right, good. Good. Everyone was worried about... I mean, I guess it's going to matter when they actually go to Toronto. One says, no way Kaido same level as Big Mom. I mean, Big Mom's not as bad as, like, Kuro. Like, there's levels to this. It's just, like, past a certain point, I don't really care. You know, we could nitpick all day. But once you're in the D tier, you're just in the D tier. All right, Apu. I have literally no way of telling. We're going to put him here. And Shanks, we're going to put him here. All right. I think, yeah, that's pretty straightforward. And Shanks, it's kind of like assumptions about his character, but we're putting him here. This isn't ordered. It just feels more right to have like Luffy, White, like have these guys here because, I mean, let's be honest, these are all like, it's funny. These are all the same person, right? Obviously not literally the same person, but it's just like you got the Hat Trio right here, the Hat Trio, and then basically the counterpart to Roger, which is Whitebeard right here. And you get a Fisher Tiger who just is not. He's not. These are all basically Pirate King-esque characters, right? And then you just got Fisher Tiger, so I don't know. Yeah, I think that this is a good list. I think this is overall a pretty good list. Wait, Apu is D. What's wrong with Apu? Oh, you know what? I don't really know what happened to Apu's crew after. I'm just putting him here. I don't remember the details of Apu. I think that this was a pretty good list, but more importantly, this was a perfect stream. There were no tech issues whatsoever. Perfect stream. Audio was actually good from the start. I don't think there was much lag, as far as I know. AJK says, Morge pushing HelloFresh all around, but is he going to Sweet Greens for food? Trader. I don't have time to cook on stream days. My schedule is so tight on Mondays, it's ridiculous. Like, the amount of things I have to... Monday is basically the hell day for me for my week, right? Monday is the day I have to do everything, like, on all work fronts, basically, from start to finish. Not that I like doing the streams, obviously. The streams are actually, no lie whatsoever, streams are by far my favorite part of doing YouTube. Easily my favorite part about doing YouTube. No lie whatsoever. Easily my favorite part about doing YouTube. I think it doesn't change the fact that Mondays are very time cramped for me, right? But I think at the very least, it's always a good way to start the week like that. Peter Castle says, thanks for an awesome stream. Any thoughts on 1047? No, 1047. I mean, maybe we get Momonosuke doing his thing, or we at least get the setup to that. That's just based on the ending of last chapter. So that's a big guess for 1047. I think the Kaido flashback starts soon, probably in the next couple chapters or so. And the other good news is now I can freely search the web during streams, which I couldn't before because it would threaten to crash the stream. So that's good because now we get more visuals and things to look at, which are always nice. So we're going to call the stream on that. Martin Castro says, Morge didn't put any women above C tier. Shake my head. Blame Oda on that. You know how many women captains there are in all of One Piece? Like 4? It's remarkably low. You would think, like, the first villain Luffy fights is Alvida. You would think that the sea is filled with, tough pirate women or whatever, but turns out it was mostly just her. And then later on, you have Big Mom, who's kind of just like a bigger Alvida. She's just the Alvida of the New World. Just look at this. Come on. There's... It's just new Alvida. That's basically it. All right. That's all for this stream.